I'd like to welcome in former law enforcement officer and evidence expert, Dr. Thomas Shea. Tom, thank you so much for some of your time today. This is a difficult video to watch. We showed our viewers blurred video, but circulating on social media, there's a lot of video that is obviously not blurred. And it appears to show a man fatally shot at point-blank range. However, it's just, one angle. What stands out to you as a former officer?
Thank you for having me. I think it's important to really preface just very briefly before I answer this question that I was an former internal affairs commander. And I'm also a police expert who routinely finds officers negligent and responsible for misconduct and performance issues. So I'm never going to look at a set of facts and look at anything other than objectively like I did in this case. And I should also preface that we don't really know a lot of the circumstances involved in this case, obviously. And we all should be careful not to rush to judgment because we don't really know the full facts about what happened yet. But however, what we do know is the officers responding to a valid call for service. The man did have a knife, which we saw in the video. I don't know the particulars of it, but from what I understand, the officer was injured in that particular interaction. And then the officers tried using the non-lethal force, and then the officer who was apparently injured shot the man. So I'm not really understanding the logic or the rationale behind the mayor's comments about I understand the anger, because as far as what I know so far, the officers did everything they were supposed to do, obligated to do, and they put their lives on the line. And this is not coming from a former police officer who's going to give a comment that's just pro-police for the sake of doing that.
Yeah, and officers, as you say, I mean, they do say this man had a knife. It appears you can see it in at least one of the videos. We know that they attempted to tase him, but we do know he was on the ground being restrained. And then the shots were fired. Not just one shot, though, but multiple shots. From your understanding, is that standard procedure?
It's standard procedure if you're afraid that you're going to be killed by somebody. I would suggest that anyone take a look at Officer Jonah Hernandez's body cam footage. He was stabbed to death, and you see him being killed from his vantage point. And if anybody can watch a video like that, you'll fully understand how easily it is to be killed. I mean, you could be killed within seconds. So you have a second to protect yourself, and it looks like they did everything they could not to take this man's life. And this is one of those things I just don't understand. I don't know when the public's going to hold people accountable for their bad decisions and actions.
And Tom, none of the officers we know were wearing body cameras. I'd like to listen to what the police chief said when he was asked about that, specifically about the devices.
We do not have body cameras on any of the officers involved. Our frontline patrol officers, we don't have any broad deployment of body cameras in Madison, unfortunately. So.
All right, so Tom, with no body camera video available, the officers don't even have them. How do you think that impacts how this investigation moves forward?
Well, it certainly would be more beneficial to the investigation if we had body cam footage from the officer's vantage point. However, we have a pretty clear bird's eye view of what happened there. So I don't know that would make a difference. And we've seen body cam footage from officers who utilize deadly force, and some facets of the media and public still speak out against the officer's actions when it's clear cut to me that it's justified deadly force. And I should probably finish by stating that we have an officer from my former agency who was just stabbed in the head responding to a domestic. The individual stabbing his girlfriend or wife to death, the officer intervened and the officer was stabbed in the face. He could have easily been killed. I didn't see any of the public come out for that officer. When they brought him out of the hospital, there was only officers there, none of the public. And I don't know how any city's going to expect someone to take a job as a police officer and put their lives on the line if they're going to be scapegoated when they just take actions necessary to save their lives in an incident like this.
Yeah, and Tom, I know you feel that this is clear-cut. It's not clear-cut to a lot of people. There's already a massive community response there in Madison. I mean, this is just some of the community response. A lot of people outraged, protests, and people are calling for accountability. But we know that puts a lot of pressure on the department. It puts a lot of pressure on city officials. At this point, we've been told that the state's Division of Criminal Investigation will independently investigate exactly what happened. My question for you, how important is it to have that independent probe?
Oh, it's extremely important. In my opinion, the internal affairs process should be removed from the police department. But I just want to quickly comment on what you said. I don't think that it's clear cut because, again, we don't have any of the particulars of this
No,
investigation.
I was just saying
All
because
we
you
have-
had said it seemed clear cut to you. That's why I
Yeah,
said that.
yes, I understand. And I just want to clarify, I don't think it's clear cut at this point. However, the facts that we see now, the guy did have a knife. He cut the officer. I just don't know. I don't really understand the notion that the officer could have done anything else except for protect himself in that situation. I'd been involved in that situation with the police in a mistaken identity situation. I wasn't going to do anything that prompted those officers to use deadly force. I was going to do everything they told me to do at the scene. And if he would have done that, he'd still be alive today.
Yeah, we will see how the independent investigation plays out. Dr. Thomas Shea, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.